Okay, good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining our webinar today. I'm Steve Garetta, the host from Rigado. We're going to be talking about smart restroom servicing featuring Kimberly-Clark Professional. Before we get into the presentation, I want to first of all welcome our guest, Forrest Himmelfarb. He's the VP of North America Strategy. Forrest, how are you? Thanks for joining.
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the program. Look forward to sharing more about what Kimberly-Clark is doing in the IoT space here.
Yeah, we're super excited for this. We've been working with Kimberly-Clark for quite some time. This launch has been great to see come together and can't wait to share it with our audience today. Just a few reminders. We have a lot of attendees today. We're really excited about the participation level. We will record this and send it to all the attendees. So if you're worried that you missed something or you want to review the materials, you'll get a recording of that sent out to you. Please put your questions, if you have any, in the Q&A panel in the Zoom. We really stress that. Don't use the chat window. There's a special Q&A tab that you can put questions into. You can see questions that have already been asked and answered. It will help keep us organized. And if we don't get to them, sorry in advance if we don't have time, if we get a lot of questions, but you can always follow up with us and we'll give you some additional contact info for the Kimberly-Clark Professional team as well if you have something specific to Onvation you want to learn about. So today's topics, we're going to quickly run through a presentation and have a dialogue here around smart restroom servicing and hopefully like I said, address all your questions. I'm going to tell everybody a little bit about Rigado and enterprise Bluetooth. That's what we do. But I want to quickly let Forrest take the stage and talk about Kimberly-Clark Professional and all the work that they're doing with their Onvation solution, which is in part powered by Rigado. We'll get into a demonstration. We'll talk about some case studies and, like I said, hopefully answer all of those questions. You don't have to wait till the end to start asking questions. You can put them in the Q&A window at any time. We'll be answering them throughout, and we have a few helpers here as well. So again, keep the questions coming. We're really excited for today's discussion with you all. And for me personally, it's great to be back in the Rigado office. This is my first webinar from the office in almost 2 years. So yeah, this is not a fake background. It's a relatively nice day here in Portland, Oregon, and excited to be with all of you. So with that, let's get to today's presentation. And the first thing I want to do, because I know a lot of you are probably familiar with Kimberly-Clark, but not sure who Rigado is and what we do and how we power these solutions. Simply put, Rigado powers smart enterprises, and we do that in a few ways. We bring managed sensor networks to commercial spaces in the form of devices and software, management platform that helps orchestrate and navigate this transition for enterprises to IoT, Internet of Things capabilities. And we're going to see how that applies in the Kimberly-Clark Onvation system. We're trusted by many market leaders. We have hundreds of thousands of networks deployed, many millions of devices that are connected to those networks under management. And we partner with the best in a variety of different spaces, whether it's commercial real estate, retail, logistics, and the best cloud providers and system integrators work with Rigado to deliver those capabilities. We're deployed across a lot of different commercial spaces, smart buildings and offices, hospitality, retail, logistics, healthcare, really any kind of space where you as an enterprise leader, somebody who is managing a facility, managing end customer value proposition, wants to get information from sensors into a cloud application. That's where Rigado can help connect those sensors to the cloud. And we do that using mostly low energy wireless technology and specifically Bluetooth. And I want to explain something about Bluetooth and why Bluetooth is a leader, particularly in smart buildings, which we're going to talk about mostly today with Kimberly-Clark. For one, the ability to deploy low-cost plug-and-play sensors of a variety of types in many different spaces is where Bluetooth really shines. And you can see some of the examples there. Occupancy sensors. I'm holding one here in my hand, actually. I've got one of the little occupancy sensors that Kimberly-Clark uses along with their sensors to instrument the smart restroom. you have temperature monitors, asset tags, air quality. So all these different things that you want to be able to sense in offices, in restaurants, any type of space where you want to get that information. You can easily deploy Bluetooth with plug and play battery operated sensors. And Bluetooth has a really nice balance of range, battery life, and bandwidth. A lot of you are probably familiar with Bluetooth for your headset, for your consumer audios, but Bluetooth low energy deployed in a sensor network in a commercial space is finely tuned to get very long 3 to 5 year battery life, very nice range. And you can even run it on existing wireless networks. That's a whole nother webinar topic. If you heard of us talking with Cradlepoint back in June, and there's others coming, where we can actually run on a completely installed network already. So Bluetooth is really the most widely deployed wireless technology in the low power space. A lot of lighting solutions run on Bluetooth, and we're seeing more and more occupancy sensors and door sensors and other types of capabilities deployed with Bluetooth. So that's why you're going to see us proposing that in a lot of the solutions that we do. And the way that Rigado brings that to life is primarily through our Cascade platform. Cascade, and I'm going to hold up, this because this is an example of a Cascade gateway that actually connects all those little Bluetooth sensors to the cloud application. For example, Kimberly-Clark Onvation. We've spent a lot of time optimizing and perfecting that data collection, securing it, giving it more range than what you can typically find off the shelf. And it can integrate with really any data cloud application. So Rigado Cascade, we have a lot of options with it. It can be powered different ways. You can connect it to the internet through Wi-Fi or cellular or Ethernet. And we support Bluetooth, Wirepass, Mesh, and some other technologies as well. But really what it's about is getting real-time application data to the cloud. So today we're going to be talking about data related to soap dispensers and paper towel dispensers in washrooms, but it could also be guest information from a quick serve restaurant. It could be logistics information from asset tracking. So we have a very flexible platform there, and we work with solution providers to bring that to life. So lastly, I want to just share a little bit about how you work with Rigado. And there's really two ways. One is you can build with Rigado. You can take all these things I've been talking about, gateway, sensors, our management platform, and you can integrate that into your own solution, which is exactly what Kimberly-Clark did, and Forrest is going to talk about that. So if you are looking to build a solution and take that to the market, and you need that connectivity layer, you need a network, essentially, that's a good time to come talk to Rigado, and we can certainly consult on that project and offer you a technology that we feel will scale very nicely and service those needs. You also might just be looking for something that's already built. Maybe you're an end enterprise, you're a facilities manager, you're a building owner, and you want something that is a full stack completely done. This is where we start to bring in partners that we've worked with, that we've been integrated into. And you can see a few examples I've called out there across occupancy, facilities management. These are solution providers that have done interesting things in different spaces, quick serve restaurants, healthcare and vaccine monitoring, and they all are built on Rigado in some shape or form. And you'll notice I've added restroom servicing to the list there, and we're really excited because we're part of a solution that does something quite unique, which is bring intelligence and better analytics to the restroom and washroom servicing market. So we'll talk more later if you have questions about how you can build with Rigado, or if you are looking for a market-ready solution, if Rigado can help direct you to one of our partners. But at this point, what I want to do is really dive into the smart buildings, office spaces, and how Kimberly-Clark is helping to really change the market for restroom servicing. And so with that, I'm going to bring in Forrest, and Forrest is going to share his screen and talk about Onvation. Forrest, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Steve. I'm not yet back in my office. I'm jealous of the view you've got back there. I'm looking at a very overcast and rainy Chicago sky right now. So I'll just keep pretending I'm in the office with you, Steve.
Sure thing, sure thing.
But yeah, thanks again for having us on the program today. Before I jump in to talk about Onvation a bit, I just want to share a little bit about Kimberly-Clark Professional. So Kimberly-Clark Professional is the B2B or commercial arm of Kimberly-Clark. We're a global business, about $3 billion in revenue, and we have a number of different product lines. The one most relevant for what we're talking about today is our washroom solutions, so paper towels, hand hygiene, toilet paper, facial tissue, but we also have the leading industrial wiping products under the Wipe-All brand, and a wide variety of personal protective equipment for both safety and scientific usage. You may wonder kind of the origins of how Kimberly-Clark got into the smart washroom space to begin with. I think we're all very familiar from our times visiting public restrooms of some of the problems and challenges that can arise in those restrooms. I think public restrooms are one of the most highly trafficked, but also one of the least visible parts of a building. And because of that, issues arise in terms of activity in the restroom not lining up with when cleaning schedules are happening, paper or soap running out, and that causes significant frustration for tenants or employees. Restroom complaints are one of the biggest complaint areas within many buildings. And so we started thinking, actually going back 25 years, started developing patents and intellectual property in the space. And then about 5 years ago, really started deploying enterprise solutions here. So one of the things that you may not know, and I've got a quick demonstration here, kind of with one of our dispensers, is that today, typically when people are servicing restrooms, they're going around checking and opening up a dispenser like this to check whether the paper towel or toilet paper is running low. And that can happen multiple times a day because there's typically no other way that cleaners are able to tell whether consumables are running low. And that can add a lot of time. And it also can lead to a lot of waste. And that's because typically when a cleaner opens up that dispenser, if there's some paper left, but they're worried that there's not going to be enough remaining until they come back the next time or the next day, they'll often throw that away. And that can lead to 10 to 20% of those consumables being wasted. So in summary, the commercial restroom today is a source of disruption for many facilities. It relies on very scheduled, static cleaning schedules that aren't tied necessarily to when people are using the restroom. And there's not a lot of visibility into the data and activity happening in the restroom. So the Onvation solution is really designed to provide intelligence about what's going on, leveraging sensors in Kimberly-Clark dispensers, as well as Gojo, Purell soap and sanitizer dispensers, and then providing that intelligence to facility managers and cleaners so that they can deploy appropriately. And we've been able to prove significant benefits, both in terms of reducing complaints and work orders, as well as reducing some of the wastage that I talked about a minute ago. So Onvation provides real-time alerts of traffic activity in the restroom, as well as alerts as to the conditions of the dispensers, whether it's low batteries or consumables levels. It allows facility managers and cleaning supervisors to plan maintenance and servicing on a proactive basis, and it provides data at the fingertips of those people so that they can better plan activity and manage inventory in a more proactive way. Just in a more tactical basis, this is how Onvation works. So we embed sensors into Kimberly-Clark dispensers, Gojo Purell dispensers, and a range of other sensors in order to provide intelligence as to what's happening in the restroom on a real-time basis. We leverage a Rigado gateway in order to get that data into our cloud. And that can be done, as Steve said, in a variety of ways through Wi-Fi, through Ethernet, through cellular service. And then that powers our Onvation software, which facility managers can use either on a desktop or a mobile format. We have a desktop application that typically the facility manager is using in order to set their operations, monitor their operations, and then a mobile application called the Compass app that cleaners are typically using in order to alert them and set a schedule of where they need to be and when in order to efficiently service restrooms. In terms of the core value proposition for Onvation, I talked quite a bit already about the intelligence that Onvation provides. I think a couple other things that are really core to how we've designed the software solution and how we deploy that is flexibility. And we wanted to make sure that the Onvation solution can really adapt to the needs and the building operations of our customers. We know not every building is managed in the same way, has the same conditions or the same smart building ecosystem. So we really designed Onvation to be able to integrate with different systems, push or pull data from our system to another system, and be flexible in terms of different options to configure to how cleaning staff are deployed in that building.
Forrest, a question that I get a lot from folks when we talk about Onvation is it how is it installed? Is it straightforward to install? Do you do most of it? Is it on the tenant or the facilities manager? Tell us a little bit about how that works.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great segue into the ease of use value proposition. I think installation is something that that Kimberly-Clark leads and provides. So we really want to make this as easy to deploy as possible. Kind of typically we'll go in and send one of our installation foremen to do a site survey ahead to make sure we have all the proper device counts, and we've identified any connectivity challenges that we might need to address. And then we'll send a team out, and it's kind of all included as part of the Onvation service. We'll send a team out who is doing Onvation deployments on a daily basis in order to kind of do the installation. And we're doing, as Kimberly-Clark, thousands and thousands of dispenser installations, both smart and non-smart. So we have a team of people that are able to do that throughout the country. And typically takes a couple of days up to a week, depending on the size of the building and how many hours kind of a day we're able to be in the restrooms. Another point on ease of use, I think we really designed the system with cleaning staff and facility managers in mind. So we know there's a significant amount of turnover in terms of cleaning staff, and we wanted to make sure that the software is as easy and intuitive to use and built in training videos, 6 different languages in order to make sure that that's not a barrier for people using the solution. Just double clicking on the intelligence a little bit, and I'll go through a few screenshots from the software itself in a minute. But one of the big areas that a lot of customers have found value in just in the last year and a half or so with COVID is just understanding how usage of kind of product and mobility is impacting their facilities. So you can see on the left, for example, just kind of a pre-COVID graph. Each of those lines is a different day of the week, and it was very stable. There wasn't that much variability, except maybe a little on Friday as far as usage. And then kind of currently, there's much more variation across the week, with Monday and Friday utilization much lower than the middle days of the week. In the middle, you can see significant ramp up in product usage, with soap usage per person doubling, and hand towel usage going up by 25%. And then a significant variability in traffic by floor. And all of these things are combining to make it much more challenging to plan and predict inventory levels, staffing levels. And that's why we've seen a significant increase in interest in the data and analytics capabilities that are embedded within Onvation. So I'm just going to go through a few screenshots now to just give everyone a little bit more flavor of how the Onvation system looks and how users typically are using the system. So this is the kind of dashboard that users would see typically in the role of a facility manager when they log on to check kind of high level activity and status across the system. The system is kind of anchored around alerting, so alerting to low battery levels, alerting to a consumable toilet paper or paper towel that might be running low in a specified time period. And so you can see in this case, there's one urgent unresolved alert. So somebody hasn't fulfilled kind of their job duty of resolving that. So a facility manager may be looking at that and seeing which cleaning staff member is assigned to that restroom and what's going on that they haven't resolved that yet. There's some key performance stats down here in the lower right. One of the things that's kind of a key KPI we look for is what percentage of refills are done prematurely, so earlier than they needed to be given the usage level. And that kind of ties back to what I was mentioning at the beginning about the current state of people throwing away and wasting consumables because they're refilling prematurely. Another kind of statistic that we typically look for as a key KPI is just what percentage of those tasks are being done on time, and then how quickly urgent alerts are being resolved. Some of the other key data that facility managers are looking at, especially these days, is traffic levels. So there's a significant amount of flexibility to look at traffic levels, both holistically, but also in individual floors, individual restrooms. There's also the ability to look at kind of number of restroom visitors overall, as well as kind of average by day. And a lot of this data is being used, and we have teams of consultants that can help advise facility managers to help interpret the data and partner on what the implications are for staffing schedules and things like that.
Forrest, that's a great point. And I actually wanted to bring in a question along this line that we got. I think it's an interesting one around, could Onvation be an excuse for facility managers to avoid or decrease cleaning during normal checks? You know, is this a concern? It feels like there's kind of a balance between, saving cost and optimizing staff, but not cutting back service too much. So I think that's what you're getting to here with these analytics, that you can find that right balance. But I wanted to give you a chance to talk to that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a couple of thoughts on that. One of the tools that's available on Onvation is to be able to set cleaning alerts based on how many people have used the restroom. And that's flexible based on kind of your facility needs. So you could set an alert to say, every time 20 people use the restroom, every time 30 people use the restroom, I want to send somebody to clean that. So I think that helps address that issue of, even if my consumables aren't running low, I can still set a threshold based on activity to make sure that cleaning is taking place. I think more broadly, we do see a range of kind of customer motivations for installing Onvation. Some customers are very focused on managing cleaning labor efficiency, and they've found ways leveraging Onvation to reduce cleaning staff and save money that way. I would say more often than not, we're seeing facility managers and companies looking to redeploy cleaning labor and have less time spent checking dispensers or checking up to see whether cleaning needs to be done, and more time cleaning, actually cleaning, sanitizing, especially in kind of higher traffic areas outside the restroom.
Great, thanks.
Another key area of analytics and data is just around consumables usage. So there's a lot of ways to look at consumable usage over time, proactively look whether there are certain spikes during certain times of the year, and make sure that kind of ordering patterns are aligned to kind of demand within the building. I think that's especially key now, as kind of the fluctuations of who's in the office are varying a lot, and you could have very low usage for a period, but then have a spike, and there's a risk of kind of running out of stock. In the dashboard, one of the other things you can see is all of the alerts, both the active alerts in terms of where do you have low paper or low battery, as well as any of the resolved alerts. This is kind of a one-stop shop for a facility manager, a cleaning supervisor to see that. The actual cleaning staff members would just get the alerts that are specific to the restrooms they're assigned to on their phone. And so it would just be a tailored, simplified view for them in that mobile application. Another view that I think is a pretty powerful demonstration of how the system works is just being able to look at all of your devices across the building and check on health, and see in a real-time basis how much product you have and where you have low product. You can see this wall soap in the first floor East Men's Room is down at 20%. And so an alert would be issued based on kind of historical traffic patterns and usage patterns when that gets to a level that it could run out within a certain specified time interval. Just tying back to the ease of use comment that I made a little bit earlier, one of the other things that we've built into Onvation is a lot of self-service training help. So part of the installation and setup process, we do live training with facility managers and cleaning staff, but we also embed videos about using our software, as well as using our dispensers into the application, so that those are accessible anytime somebody wants to refer to them. And then lastly, just before we open it up to questions, I turn it back to Steve, just wanted to talk a little bit more on the commercial side. I'd say Onvation is used across many different building types, office buildings, healthcare facilities, hospitals, stadium, industrial buildings. So it's not limited to one sector in the commercial real estate space. We work both with facility managers, distributors, and building service contractors. And then just kind of a fun highlight at the bottom here, I think one of the deployments that we're most proud of and is most visible is our installation at the One World Trade Center, which we did last year. And if you want to go online, you search Onvation at One World Trade Center, you can see a testimonial there, which has some great visuals of Onvation being used in an application.
So Forrest, really exciting stuff, and thanks for taking us through that. We've got some really good questions, I think, that'll drive the discussion. Before I get to those, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you a little bit about the relationship with Rigado. How did we get here, and how did you, on your journey towards Onvation, what has gotten you on this path to using Rigado to help power it?
Sure. I think many of the points that you made at the beginning around the Bluetooth low energy kind of were things that, as we evaluated connectivity options, were top of mind, and kind of led us to the conclusion that BLE was a connectivity standard that made a lot of sense for this type of deployment. I think we then kind of scoured the industry in terms of partners, and went through a very rigorous kind of process before we selected to kind of work with you guys. I think one of the things that stood out was just kind of the ability to partner with Rigado beyond simply kind of a hardware provider, and really kind of being able to go to market together, and also to be able to kind of have you evolve and respond to our needs. So there are things we've kind of done from an innovation perspective together that I think just kind of some other sensor provider probably wouldn't have been as flexible with.
Great. Well, we appreciate that. It's certainly been great for our team to see the transition that you all have made in the evolution towards the latest Onvation solution. So it's been a lot of fun for both of us. And with that, I think we'll start getting into some of the Q&A. I'm going to leave up the information here. If you want to reach out to, again, if you are interested in putting together a solution and you need that network connectivity, from Rigado, feel free to reach out to us. I get the sense there's a lot of folks here that are seeing Onvation and thinking, wow, I'm a facilities manager, I'm a CIO, or I'm head of IT, and I need to put something like this in place. Reach out to the KCP team here, and we've got their email address there, and they'll definitely get you set up. But I want to start getting into some of the Q&A because there's some really good ones here, and some that I certainly am seeing for the first time. One question, and we're answering some of these in the Q&A, so we might be typing answers to these. There was one question, I'm not sure I fully understand, but it was, will these have a charge on healthcare GPOs? I don't know if there's a tie into the healthcare market here for us that you're aware of. Maybe you can address that one.
Yeah, I wish I could address that one. I think that might be one we could do a kind of offline follow-up on, because I'm not as familiar. We have kind of a few different deployments into the healthcare space, but I'm less familiar with the GPO question.
Okay, fair enough. Someone asked about how many of your customers are going with smart, Onvation smart restrooms compared to the standard, and they put in quotes dumb solution.
Yeah.
And so maybe without revealing particular numbers, like what do you see as the trend here? Are people, kind of dipping their toe into it? Is there a big transition happening? I'm sure that the COVID situation has impacted that. What are you seeing with the trends there?
Sure. I think some of the biggest changes I've seen just in the last couple of years is kind of a move from just individual facilities and individual facility managers, maybe who are more tech forward, looking to deploy a solution to make their building stand out, to now kind of real estate portfolios or Fortune 500 kind of VPs of real estate, looking at leveraging a solution across kind of a North America or global scale. And so I think we're seeing kind of a tipping point, especially with people deploying more smart building solutions and trying to get more visibility into their building operations. Mm-hmm. I think smart restrooms compared to like HVAC, IoT, or smart lighting is definitely still a more nascent part of the smart building ecosystem, but certainly seeing a significant amount of increased interest.
That's great. Had a interesting one here about a smell detector sensors, air comfort, air freshener. I could certainly mention this from a broader Rigado sensor portfolio point of view, but is that something that you're looking at specifically for the smart restrooms?
Yeah, I think it's something definitely on our radar. Have a few different smell detector sensors that in our R&D labs, I would say. It's not currently part of a solution. I think one of the things that's really critical to us is ensuring that the alerts and sensing information that we do provide is really accurate. And so making sure we're not just sending people to service the restroom because of some issue in the sensor or some quality problem there. So I think we plan to add more sensors and more intelligence as we feel confident that the quality of what we're sensing and those sensors is kind of up to our standards.
Yeah, and a couple specific ones here can you distinguish between someone getting double paper towels or soap, or is each use considered a person in the analytics? How do you treat that in the system generally?
Yeah, great question. I think we are kind of, in addition to monitoring the usage of consumables, we're monitoring how many people actually come into the restroom. So we're able to kind of calculate kind of paper towel usage per person, rather than just saying kind of every time 2 paper towels are used, we're going to assume that that's one person.
Got it. A good one for us at Rigado, actually. Can you ingest data from other sensors other than Kimberly-Clark or Rigado if a client has that system? And the answer is yes. So Rigado has some pre-integrated sensors, the ones I showed on the slides earlier, occupancy, temperature, et cetera. And we can also bring in integration with third-party or custom sensors. And that's essentially what we've done with Onvation. So the answer is generally yes, but reach out to us directly to talk more about if you have something in mind there and you want to understand it. That doesn't necessarily have to be integrated into the Onvation application. It could be going to a different cloud data source, but we'd be happy to chat more about that. We consider ourselves very flexible in terms of the end devices that we work with. That's really our thing. There's a real big picture question is the solution driving savings in excess of the cost, or is it really just a way to drive higher standards? And I think my guess is you would say, yeah, it pays for itself, but maybe you can get in a little bit on the economics of it for us and how facility managers should think about that.
Sure. Yeah, I think the solution can pay for itself. I think how big the ROI is really depends on how the customer kind of their priority over the labor savings or the labor efficiency, and whether they want to prioritize reducing that or redeploying that to be able to do more cleaning with the same level of cleaning staff. So I think some of that is dependent on kind of the strategy of the facility manager. Secondly, I would say there's hard cost savings as well in terms of reduction in consumables wastage that kind of flows more directly to the bottom line. But I think we've seen kind of the ROI cost savings benefits be significant and a big kind of motivator for people. But I think people also are looking at this as a more kind of holistic benefit in terms of driving better tenant satisfaction and getting better kind of cleaning outcomes in their building.
Great. And so we've answered a lot of questions. Again, feel free to put more in. We'll stay on a couple more minutes here, but for us, just to kind of wrap this up, let's say I'm a facilities manager and I'm really excited by what I just saw, and I want to get going with something here. What does it look like? Is it, we do a short trial and we can do it in a couple of floors of the building? What is a timetable typically to get a project started and deployed? Is it a couple of weeks? Is it many months? What do you suggest there?
Sure. Typically there's kind of three steps to get a solution deployed. The first is just a phone or Zoom-based consultation where we really talk with the customer about their building operations, what their key pain points are there any things around integration with other systems, who do they work with in terms of cleaning company, things like that we want to make sure we're thinking about and adjusting for accordingly. The second step is typically having one of our installation team members go out and do a site survey to make sure that we've really mapped out the deployment, the number of devices, any connectivity hotspots, and then it's just a matter of scheduling and doing the installation. So that whole process can be as fast as a month, depending on kind of the urgency from the customer's end. Typically, we can do kind of smaller scale proof of concepts or trials, but you don't see the benefit of really using the system until you're doing it kind of at more scale where your full cleaning staff can use it.
Great, and we got one question that just came in, and it's teeing you up for a little bit of competitive conversation, which is there are a number of, quote, again in air quotes, smart restroom companies who say they can put sensors in any dispenser and give the same data. Is that possible? So, what separates you from what others may be claiming is a smart restroom platform out there?
Sure. I mean, certainly theoretically possible. There are thousands of different sensors that you can buy today to measure all sorts of different things. So I've seen a lot of things online with people kind of jerry-rigging smart restrooms, or kind of doing different proof of concepts. And I think there's a number of companies out there that are leveraging things in that area. I would say from our experience, we found that really to have an enterprise class reliable solution, a lot of engineering and architecture is key, kind of from the ground up. And when we've architected our dispensers that we manufacture, we've built them kind of from the ground up with a smart solution in mind. And we're able to do things like monitor the battery level in addition to the consumable, because we've built sensors in to be able to do that. We can also detect kind of when somebody has refilled, kind of automatically send an update to the cloud to say that activity has taken place. So I think in theory, I've seen some deployments for kind of more universal solutions, but I think in practice, when people are looking for a reliable solution that they don't have to kind of worry about with an enterprise cloud software platform, I think ours stands out.
Yeah, and I can certainly say from Rigado's standpoint of having worked in many different types of spaces, we've seen people try to kind of cobble things together and get them out there, but you quickly run into challenges of security and scale and flexibility and support. So definitely agree with that. And then just a couple last quick ones. Do you charge per dispenser, or are they included with the paper? I don't know if you want to address that here. That's better offline, but there's a question about the pricing model.
Sure. It's a software as a service model. So there's a monthly subscription fee, and happy to kind of chat offline to get more specifics about the building or use case and provide more pricing information.
Yeah. And then finally, a question about environment and, paper towel versus hand blowers and water usage, et cetera. And I kind of feel like what you're getting at with a lot of the value proposition here is to really reduce the waste and make the traditional restroom experience, be much better for the environment. I think you showed some numbers on that earlier, even.
Yeah, certainly. I think we've been able to demonstrate an 80% reduction in consumables wastage because things aren't being thrown away kind of prematurely. I think in addition, we've seen, especially in COVID, kind of a fairly significant shift away from jet air dryers, just given the fact that a lot of those are kind of blowing around germs within the restrooms, and hand towels have been shown to be kind of more effective for as part of kind of a holistic hand hygiene routine. And so we do a significant amount of work kind of to reduce consumable wastage. We provide a lot of use recycled fibers in a lot of our products. And so very much believe in kind of doing things that help with sustainability and reducing the environmental footprint.
That's great to hear. And with that, I think we've knocked out all the questions. Again, folks can reach out to us offline. The recording will be sent out to everybody. So feel free to take a run through that if you want. And I just like, again, to thank one last time, Forrest, for coming on. Thank you for your partnership. It's been really exciting to work with you on this journey and help see this transition in the smart restroom space.
Thanks, Steve. It's great being on. enjoy the beautiful day out there.
Thank you. And again, thanks to all the attendees for your great questions and participation. Enjoy the rest of your day and have a great week. Goodbye, everyone.